But we'll start off talking about Boston College. And Dan, you've covered the Patriots a lot over the years. You cover all sports. Bill O'Brien is such a fascinating figure. He was on this show in the offseason, and I just thought it was a great marriage of a guy at a certain time in his life and a school with an opportunity. He was at Ohio State for 3 weeks. And nobody at Ohio State begrudged him this. He's from Boston. And I think he has a chance to, in this final stage of his career, really maybe build something back at Boston College. But the idea that it starts in game one with a win at Florida State is amazing. What did you think of that O'Brien hire when it happened?
I've been saying, I thought it was the best pound for pound, per capita, whatever you want to do, hire of the offseason. Obviously, he's not the number one candidate out there. Alabama went and got Kalen DeBoer off a national title game. But Boston College is not Alabama, which is always going to attract the best candidates. You got a guy who did a very good job in 2 years at Penn State under, unprecedented situation coming off following Joe Paterno and the Sandusky scandal and all of that. Coaches the Houston Texans. Not the best general manager for the Houston Texans. Excellent coach, though. 4 playoff appearances, 2 victories. He's coached under Bill Belichick. He's coached under Nick Saban. He has coached Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, Super Bowl champ Tom Brady. He has almost 100% name recognition in New England because of his time with the Patriots. Very, very good offensive coordinator in the NFL. It's from Boston, from the Catholic League, St. John's Prep, all of that. And he becomes Boston College's coach. It is the perfect hire. This is a overqualified guy for Boston College. He's not assistant on the way up. He's not someone who's looking, I'm going to grab any job I can get to get out of here. I could totally see if this goes well, Bill O'Brien saying, I'm good here for 10 years or something like that. I think he was a spectacular hire. And then I think you started seeing that Monday night in Tallahassee, the way the team played. It looked like a professional operation. 1 penalty, dominant on both offense and defensive line, very in control. They had an advantage up the middle on offense and just kept running there. Didn't get too cute. Spectacular hire and a spectacular first result in throttling FSU. I don't really care if FSU is not looking too good. You're Boston College. You take this thing and celebrate.
And like the number one overrated storyline of the year has been the defensive line at Florida State. Not that we care here in the North, but like, oh my God. But you got to give credit to this Boston College offensive line. Couple guys back as third-year starters, Drew Kendall and Ozzie Trapillo. Really good. Left tackle Jude Bowery is a third-year guy. That was his first career start. They bumped the left tackle from last year inside because this guy was so ready to play. And then that guy, Logan Taylor, was hurt. And Dwayne Ulrich had to play. And Jack Conley at center is a 6th-year guy. So they've got some veteran guys. And that idea of, I mean, sometimes, Dan, it's like, it's like whatever, coach speak stuff, whatever. But like, this is a stake in the ground. This is the beginning of the Bill O'Brien era. There have to be some high school kids in the northeastern part of the country who watched that game on Monday night and maybe weren't thinking about Boston College before, that are going to give the Eagles a look now and be like, oh yeah, that guy coached Tom Brady. Oh yeah, it's a beautiful campus. Like this is, I don't want to overstate it, but this I think is going to resonate for what's next at BC.
Kendall and Trapillo, first 2 guys you mentioned from Norwell, Massachusetts, my hometown. So we were, I never thought we would be beating Florida State up, but it happened. They were manhandling him. You don't mess with Norwell. Norwell Clippers are going to come at you. It's undoubtedly a statement. I mean, everyone was watching, and it's not just that he coached Tom Brady. It's that he was an offensive coordinator in the NFL for a long time. And you're not always going to get the great QB recruit. Oh, you can get them at Boston College, but you talk about offensive linemen. You saw those blocking schemes. You saw the defensive line. This guy is going to be able to sell, hey, I can help get you to the pros. You're going to get an elite degree at Boston College. It's an incredible environment. I also think that because of his name and because of the excitement of this game, the one thing BC struggles with, fan engagement, breaking through in a pro sports market, just getting everyone going. And look, Patriots aren't predicted to have this huge season. Maybe you get some more people at the stadium. You get things going a little bit. But you saw what Bill O'Brien wants Boston College football to look like. And Boston College football can be that. They've been dominant in the lines. Kendall and Trapello, both of their fathers were Boston College stars too. So it's a place that breeds offensive linemen and things like that. It was just a really dynamic victory, and exciting victory. And it was a way to say, look, I'm here.
Yeah,
We're going to be good. You guys know me. People in New England know me as he's probably the most, I don't know, maybe Josh McDaniel, but other than that, he's kind of known as a right-hand man for Bill Belichick on multiple occasions. And so this was a great day for Boston College.
This is an interesting point you make about the Patriots now being the dynasty is way over. Belichick is gone. Well, the Boston College Eagles fill the football vacuum in New England. We'll be having a debate by the end of the year.
No.
Who's the better, Jacoby Brissett or Thomas Castellanos? Who's the better quarterback? I did think this is one of those where in the spring, I was there for a spring practice. This is one of those things. I was going to be on a spring practice tour, Dan, and I was going to hit some of our northern schools. And I went to Boston College football practice. And as I was there, unbeknownst to me, my retina was detaching.
Oh no.
So I was on the field with the Boston College Eagles and my retina detached, and yet Mike Norvell still had a worse time on the field with the Boston College Eagles than I did. But like getting to see that, I was impressed by their skill guys then, but they were talking about this offensive line then, and like the defense was a little bit slower to come around because I think they liked the guys they had up front. But you could feel some of that. But the thing that I was curious about is they had this Grayson James guy who's a transfer quarterback from Florida International. He was actually hurt last night, so he couldn't have played anyway. But I thought he's a little bit more of a traditional drop back passer. And I thought, Castellanos is a really interesting guy, but will Bill O'Brien maybe be inclined to slide toward a more traditional quarterback? And instead, he firmly stood behind Thomas Castellanos, said, he's our guy. When I had him on this offseason, I was like, you playing two quarterbacks? He said, no. Tommy's our guy. And I think that like this is a tip of the cap to a guy who has been around and coached quarterbacks. I wasn't sure what the marriage would be like. Castellanos only threw for 106 yards. He slung it around, but it was a really good working relationship of a guy with a really interesting set of skills, and Bill O'Brien and this offense finding the best way to take advantage of that, which is like, why did I ever think that Bill O'Brien wouldn't figure that out?
Yeah, Castellanos was fantastic last night. Those runs, tough runner. Total dual threat. And I think you agree. It's when you get a veteran coach like that, who's done a little bit of everything and has coached at all these different levels, he's not a system guy. He's not sitting there saying, I have to implement this one system. It's what do I have? What are we going to win with? And he looked at that game last night, and I think he's going to look at this team and say, all right, strengths the offensive line. All right, they're saying Florida State's defensive line is the best in the country. He was not worried about it. And last night, they clearly had an advantage, not just on the offensive line, but in the middle of that offensive line, because they were running ball right up the middle, A-gaps, and just getting this done that way. It was right at him. It wasn't just, a running attack. It was obviously there was a lot of scrambles and stuff like that, but there were a lot of run plays right up, some pretty sophisticated blocking. And then the defensive line, I think Florida State only had 21 yards rushing.
Yeah.
If you're rushing big and the other team is stopped, you're going to win the game. I mean, it's hard to lose when you rush for 260 and they rush for 21. You're going to win a lot of football games. So again, I think this is a perfect marriage for what Boston College can be. I think he's the kind of coach that can do this. I think he can create a lot of interest from people all over the country to look and say, all right, this is what they got going. You were there at BC. Their facilities are terrific. Obviously, the campus is fantastic. You're in Boston. The degree is, very valuable. All those things. It's been a hard go for Boston College athletics, other than hockey and women's lacrosse and a couple things like that, to kind of find their footing, especially in the ACC. They're just such a fish out of water. And where do they fit in modern college football? And we'll see. This is one game. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how it all plays out. But I am a lot more optimistic about Boston College Eagles now with Bill O'Brien than I was almost with any other coach. Again, that spun my head when they got it. I remember when it was like, oh, they could get Bill O'Brien. And it was like, this is a no-brainer. They were interviewing a bunch of people. And I'm like, boy, I would not pass on this guy because he did a good job at Penn State. And he was a good coach at the Houston Texans. Penn State was
multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 playoffs, 2 victories.
Yeah.
It's a mess at Penn State. I mean, he walked into, oh, you got to succeed Joe Paterno, right? That's going to be hard no matter what, because it's just everything set for Paterno. But then the way with the Sandusky, and when he took the job, it wasn't as the scope of Sandusky wasn't as known as much. And then it just got way worse. And then you had these unbelievable, the NCAA came in and tried to penalize them like 10 scholarships for 4 years. And I mean, really hard to recruit, keep players, all of those things. And he handled that situation really, really well. So I'm glad he's back head coach at college football. Again, you can't really have a better pedigree. If it doesn't work with Bill O'Brien, I don't know what can work.
Yeah. No, that's been, I compared him to Greg Schiano a million times. And you just think about like, Matt Rule, Greg Schiano, Bill O'Brien, former NFL head coaches who are coaching Northern college football right now. And it's like, man, these could really be good fits at these places. But at Rutgers, if Schiano can't do it, whoever could. Same thing at Boston College. Schiano, having been there the first time, even deeper roots. But I think they're both in for the long haul. I think they'll both be there until the school says we're done with you. And I think they both might retire at those positions. And it's really good things for those two schools. 263-21 in rushing yards in this game. Kai Robichaux and Trayshawn Ward, like really good 1-2 combo behind that offensive line. And Donovan Azaraku and Neto Okpala, 10 pressures on DJ Uiagalelei. So just like, again, it's one of those things to win, but sort of like for Boston College to go physically dominate a team like Florida State is really impressive. And as you look at a completely messed up ACC, Dan, we know Miami looked good in week 1, but otherwise I'd look north. Pitt with Eli Holstein, Syracuse with Kyle McCord and Aronde Gadsden and what Fran Brown is doing there. And now Boston College showing this to 3 Northern schools in the ACC. I think people need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, because you looked at it, and I mean, Carolina won in the ACC, but they lose their quarterback. Virginia Tech loses. Florida State looks like a mess. Clemson, who knows? I still think they'll be pretty good. Losing to Georgia is losing to Georgia. But they certainly don't. They're not. They may not be an elite national title, but there is some room to go with the teams in the north of the ACC to make a move here and at least have a good season. And get going, even if you don't win it. But I don't know, that was an intriguing team. I loved, they said it on the broadcast where he's just taking a knee. A lot of teams, you see him still running plays up, and it was just a professional looking outfit.
Yeah,
it's just like, all right, we're gonna win, take a knee, right? NFL doesn't care. You win by 1, you win by 100, doesn't matter. Let's get out of there. The one penalty I think I mentioned, that's it. Controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I mean, that's some classic football.